Hey guys, it's Bailey here from Crochet with Bay, and today I'm going to be doing a video tutorial on how to make these adorable little ghosties. Look how cute! Okay, so let me do an introduction here. So we have a ghost with a witch hat, a little Frankie ghost, a sunflower hat ghost, and a pumpkin hat ghost. So this tutorial is going to be best fitted for those who have a beginner knowledge of crochet, so you know a couple stitches, you know how to make a slip knot or a magic ring. I do go over those briefly in this tutorial, but it's best if you have a prior knowledge. But it's really for those who don't know how to read written patterns yet. And I started off watching video tutorials on YouTube, so I thought what better way to pay homage to that than to make my own little video tutorial now that I know how to read patterns and write them. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe and turn on that notification button so you get notified whenever I post videos. I am so excited, so let's jump into the video. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the ghosts right now. So just the ghost, not the hat. The hat will be later. And with that, you will need a type of yarn. You could use acrylic, you can use super bulky. This is, I believe, a weight 5 yarn from Michael's Sweet Snuggles Lite, and I use a 5mm hook with that. This hook is from Hooks and Glitter. She's awesome. I will link her below. She's a small business as well. Spare scissors and some eyes. I use these oval eyes that I got from AliExpress. I will also link those in the description. But you can use round eyes, whichever eyes you'd like. These are 10 by 14mm. So first, what we're going to do, so you're going to start off with a magic ring. Now, if you haven't mastered the magic ring yet, please go and watch some tutorials, in-depth tutorials about the magic ring. I will do a quick one here, but I know some people struggle. So you're going to place your yarn in your hand, wrap over your fingers, under, and then crisscross it like, oops, sorry, my bad. Cross like this. So you have like a nice X here. I just usually grab that with my pinky. You're going to go under the first one, over the second one, pull up a loop and turn. You're going to take the yarn that is being held by your pinky, that's your working yarn, and chain 1. You can now let go, and you can see that you have your magic ring here. And I like to work over both the tail and the ring just so I can pull it closed. So you're going to work 6 single crochets. 6, and then pull very gently. Oh. So sometimes chunky yarn does that, but we got it closed. All right, and then you're going to be going into the first single crochet that you worked here, and you're going to increase 6 times. So increase is 2 stitches, it's 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. You can go ahead and use a stitch marker. I typically don't use stitch markers just because I kind of can tell when the beginning of the round starts and ends, but I would definitely advise using a stitch marker if you are a beginner. And I believe that is 6. So you can if I were to put a stitch marker in, I would put it on the last stitch of the round. You can put it on the first, whichever you would prefer. Okay, then you're going to do a single crochet and then an increase in the next one. So single crochet increase times 6, which will give you 18. This last row with the increases will give you 12. This one will give you 18. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, oops, Next, you are going to just crochet 18 around for 2 rows. So if you want like a little tip, when I don't use a stitch marker, I usually just look for the last increase that I did, so you can tell that like there's an increase here, keep going, increase here. So you can see now that there's no more increases. You know that that's the last stitch of your increase round. So then that's going to be the last stitch of the next round and the last stitch of the next round. You kind of just look where the stitches line up. So I know that I've done 18 around twice because that's 2 rows. Just in case you didn't want to use your stitch markers anymore, but to each their own. Now I'm going to single crochet 2. Put my stitch marker back in for your reference. And then you're going to do a bobble stitch with 5 loops on the hook and pull through. So you're going to yarn over, insert into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's 2 loops on the hook. Then you're going to yarn over, insert into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's 3 loops. Yarn over into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's 4. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. There's 5 loops. So then you're going to yarn over, pull through all 5. Now some people like to try and work into the next stitch by going around their bobble stitch. I like to have a nice tight bobble stitch, so I actually just push that inside out and I go into the next one and do a single crochet, and then I come back and I pop it back out so that it's nice and tight and there's no holes on either side. So after your bobble stitch, you're going to do 7 single crochets. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're going to do another bobble, just like we did before. Yarn over, pull up, pull through 2, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn over, pull through all 5, and then continue. 1, 2, pop it back up. So then we're going to do 7 more single crochets to get back to our stitch marker. So I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, 7. And it looks strange because I actually put it in the first stitch instead of the last stitch of the row. So that's where I placed my stitch marker. My bad. Okay, now you're going to do another 2 rounds of single crochets just like you did up here. You're going to do 2 more after the bobble stitches. So now we have gone around and we have done 2 more rows. So next is going to be the frill around the bottom. So you're going to slip stitch into your front loop. So if you look up here, let's do a little bit of a tutorial on front loop. You can skip past this if you know front loop and back loop. Front loop is going to be this one. Back loop is going to be the one far away from you. When you look at your stitches like this, you have 2 loops here. So you're going to be working in this front loop all the way around. If you would like to make things easier for yourself, you can go ahead and pop this stitch marker into the first back loop because we're going to be working into the back loop the next round. So this round we are working in the front loop, and we're going to start with a slip stitch into that first front loop. In the next front loop we're going to be doing a single crochet, a half double crochet, and another single crochet, all in the same loop. And you're going to alternate that all around. Slip stitch, in the next stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, in the next stitch, slip stitch. And you're going to be alternating all the way around, all in the front loops. Oops. All right, so we are on our last stitch. We just finished our last little skirt piece on the back here. And normally this is when I would go into doing the back loops from the previous row, but I actually do like to put my eyes on at this point. So these eyes, I do not trust these eyes on their own. So what I like to do is I actually bring in my glue gun after I set them where I want them to go. So I like to put them between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about rows 5 and 6. Oopsie. So basically where the bobble stitches are, I like to put the eyes there. You can put them as close or far apart as you want. I like to see at least like one stitch in between mine. Sometimes it just lines up that this looks better. It's completely your own preference. So you're going to take your backs and you're going to secure them. And because these are ovals and not circles, when you turn them, they are going to look really weird because you can turn these. So I like to make sure that they're in the right spot. Nice and rotated back where they belong. And then I'll go in with a little bit of hot glue and I will just glue the backs so that they don't go anywhere. Just flip it inside out. Make sure you don't get glue on your back loops that you're going to be working in. So I will just take my glue gun. This is a Sure Bonder glue gun. It is a cordless one and I really enjoy it. I can link that for you guys as well. I like it because it's fine tip and a lot of crafting is intricate and you need a fine tip. So yeah, just gonna let that cool. So now you're going to start working on the back loops of the previous row. Well, 2 rows ago technically. So this first stitch marker helps because you identify that first loop really easily. So you're gonna go ahead and you're going to single crochet into that first loop, and then you're going to take that out. You're going to do a decrease across the next 2. So pull through, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. So you're going to repeat that all the way around. You're going to do single crochet. Sorry, this tail keeps getting in the way. Single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, Alright, so we have made it all the way around. So here's where I like to add a little bit more stuffing. Make sure that the ghost is forming nicely. When you're using a smaller yarn than this, you will probably have to stuff it as you crochet the round because the hole will get a lot smaller with smaller yarn. Next round is going to be all decreases. You're going to decrease, I believe, 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to do 6 decreases. You're going to start again on that first stitch we did in the previous round. So decrease. Doing the front loops gives it an invisible decrease, so you don't see it. As if you were to do like this, you might see these big gaps. Invisible decreases is just taking the front loops, pulling up and pulling through. Front loop, pull through, front loop, pull through, and one more time. Okay, so there you are. You're going to go ahead and cut your yarn. Pull through your tail. Oh no. right, sorry, I got it through. We're all good. So you should be left with a small hole, hopefully big enough that you can still stuff some stuffing through. Move it around to the outsides of your work. Now make sure that you're also putting some good stuffing around the base here. So see how I'm pushing it out to the sides of this base? That way your ghost is going to sit nice and flat. So we just finished, we fastened off, cut our yarn, and now we're going to go into these front loops of the previous round to cinch up our hole. So I go in inwards, and then in the next one, I'll just do the first one, and then in the next one I go out, and then after a while you get better at it and you go in and out in the same one. In and out. I'm just doing this to cinch up the hole. I like to run my yarn just back and forth a little bit just to really make sure that we are closed at the bottom. And then I just like to pull up a little bit of a loop here and tie it off. So I will go through the hole that I just made. Just pull it tight. This yarn is fraying. And then again. The quality of chenille yarn lately has been atrocious, so I apologize for that. So now I'm just going to hide my tail. I'm going to put my needle through, pull it all the way through, cut my end, and then just lightly tuck that end inside the ghost. And once you run a lint roller over it a couple times, you should have your very own ghost. I just like to kind of shape it a little bit. You can add some strands of blush here. I've seen people put blush on it, like makeup blush. It's completely your own preference. If you're going to be making blush on it, I would recommend using an acrylic yarn, something that isn't going to shed, to give it the blush look. You can just embroider over these 2 stitches, tie it off, and hide the tails inside the head. And that is the ghost. Now we're going to move on to the pumpkin head, so let me get my yarn situated for that. For this one, you're going to need 3 colors. You're going to need your orange for the pumpkin, your green for the stem, and a brown, green for the vine and brown for the stem. So you're going to start off with your orange. Same hook size if you're using the same yarn. You're going to create that magic ring again that we learned with the ghost. I'll do it again for you guys. So I have it here, over, under, cross, and just grab. Sorry, let me do that again. Over, under, cross. So you have a cross here. You're gonna go under, over, pull, twist, grab that yarn, pull through the loop. And then you're going to do 7 single crochets into the magic ring. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the reason we're doing 7 single crochets instead of 6 when the head is made with 6 single crochets like the actual ghost is because we want the hat to be bigger than the head so it fits nicely onto the ghost. So we're gonna go ahead, let me grab a stitch marker so I can show you guys the beginning and end of the, don't know why I have these in a bag in the first place. This is my junk drawer of needles. So we're going to go around and do increase 7 times. So in the first stitch of the round, increase. Oops. Second stitch, increase. You can go ahead and put your stitch marker in that first stitch if you'd like. 1, 2, 3, 4. You should have 14 at the end of this row, 14 single crochets. You're then going to do a single crochet increase all the way around 7 times. So single crochet, and then in the increase, do an increase. You can mark your first stitch if you'd like. Alright, so you should have gone up by another 7 single crochets, which will be 21 stitches total. Next, we are going to go around for 2 rounds of single crochets, so it'll be 21 times 2. If you guys remember from the ghost, where's my needle? The front loop is going to be these loops right here, the ones closest to you. So if you look here, you will see that there is 2 loops, 1, 2, they kind of look like V's. So you're going to go into the front one all the way around. And each front loop we are going to be doing 3 single crochets. So that would be a 3 increase in the pattern. So this is going to give the hat the ribbed effect along the brim. So I just went into that front loop. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to mark that. You can mark the first stitch. Since we're not working into that back loop after, like we'll just be done, you don't have to mark the back loop. If you want to be able to find it easier for when you want to sew the hat on, by all means mark that loop. Alright, and then we're going to do another 3. So you're going to do this 21 times. So you're going to have 63 stitches at the end of this. The end stitch count of this doesn't really matter as long as your hat has some sort of wavy effect to it. If you want it to be less wavy, you can do an increase in each. So only 2 single crochets in each one. If you want the brim to be even wider, you could do 3 half double crochets in each one. Go ahead and play around with the pattern. Make it your own. So once you're done your last increase with your 3 stitches in that front loop, you're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the very next stitch and then pull it all the way through. I cut my yarn, obviously. And then you're just going to pull that tight. You can leave that there for when you want to sew it on. And then you're going to move on to doing the stem and the vine. So there's 2 different ways you can do the stem and the vine. The first way is to surface crochet both of them on and then just hide the tails in the cap. And then the other way is to crochet them separately and then sew them on. I will show you both ways so that it is easy. So we will first start off with the tying option. So for this, you are going to use the same weight of yarn that you've been using. This is the stem. Take your brown yarn and you're going to chain 4, and then you're going to do a slip stitch 3 down the chain. So to do your chain, I just take my yarn like this, twist it over, grab my fingers through and pull up a loop. We'll do that again so you guys can see that. So I do this, twist, grab this loop and pull. And I put it on my loop and I just pull that working tail. So this is plenty long of a tail. You could do a little bit shorter of a tail. It doesn't need to be that long. It just happened because I was doing a tutorial. So you're going to chain 4, yarn over 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to skip the stitch that is next to your hook, so this stitch, and you're going to work into these next 3 stitches. You're going to slip stitch into each of them. So slip stitch, pull through, slip stitch, pull through, slip stitch, pull through. Then you can cut your yarn. Oops, playing bowling with my hook. I just like to make a chain just to fasten that off. And there is your stem. And now with the green yarn, we're going to work on the stem. Okay, so you're going to start by doing your slip stitch, or sorry, your slip knot, fastening on, and you're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're then going to skip that first stitch closest to the hook again. And you're going to do an increase in the next 6 stitches. So that's 2 single crochets in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, oopsie, 4, 5, 6. Now you can make your stem, your vine longer or shorter by just adding more chains or decreasing the amount of chains that you make in the beginning. So if you want a longer stem, or my goodness, a longer vine, you can just add chains to the beginning. So instead of 7, you could do 10 and then do 9 increases down. Just add the initial, add or subtract from the initial chain. So once we're at the end, I'm just going to do a chain to fasten that off and then pull through like so. So how this is going to work is typically you would sew these on, but because they're such small pieces, I just tie them on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hook up through the center of that magic ring from the hat. I'm going to pull down one of the tails from the stem like that, and then on the next adjacent row, so this is the magic ring, then this is the next row, I'm going to pop my hook up again and pull through that second tail. This is going to then be flipped over, and then you can tie triple knot. I'm not going to do that yet because I have to show the surface crochet version of this, but you're going to triple knot this onto the hat. Your next one, you can either do this side or this side. I'm going to do mine on this side. Poke up your hook and insert your green tail of the vine, and then do it again for the next row. See how that was the row before? Now this is the next row. I'm going to do the same thing and pull through that tail. You want to make sure there's at least a row in between each tail, because if you put them through the same hole, the same stitch, you're not tying it to anything. It's just going to fall right out. So there we have our tie-on version. Once you tie this down, it does become shorter because it gets like pulled down a lot more. So if this looks tall right now, don't worry about it. So yeah, you would just triple knot these, cut the tails, or you could weave in the tails if you want to make the hat removable. I like to sew on the hat because that way I do not have to weave in my ends, which we all know that I hate. Okay, so then we're going to do the, if that's the version you want to do, great, you can skip to the sewing instructions. If not, I'm going to show you how to do the surface crochet. So I am going to start my surface crochet by looping my hook underneath that first row, the magic ring row, from the outside to the middle. I'm then going to take my stem colored yarn and we are going to add it on with a chain. So I pull mine through and then I chain one, and that fastens it on there. If you would like, you can start by doing a slip stitch on by making a slip knot, pulling it closed, and then going through this hole and slip stitching through that loop. That's another way. It's totally preference. So you're going to then chain your 4, and you're going to slip stitch down your 3. Did I do 4 there? Where are we? 1, 2. Okay, yeah. You're going to slip stitch down your 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the other side. So go in through the middle, out the other side, and you're going to slip stitch that on, cut your tail, pull through your loop, and then you're going to hide those tails underneath the hat. So I just pull them through the middle of the magic ring like this. And then you can go ahead and tie them off underneath like we did previously with the other one, but this one you just crocheted on. Next, you're going to do the vine for this crochet on method, and you can start the next stitch down, the next row down, so that you fasten off on the same row that you did with the stem, so that it looks like it's one, and also it kind of hides that initial chain that you did there. So I'm going to insert between rows, what is that, 1 and 2, and pull up my loop, and I'm going to chain 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and increase 6 down, just like we did with the other one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're going to go in and go to the next, underneath the next row, so that's row 1. And then you're going to do a nice slip stitch to fasten that to that row. Cut your yarn, pull through the loop, not too tight or else you will snap your yarn. And then I'm going to pull through those tails like I did with the other one. Pull through and pull through, and you're going to want to tie those off as well. I like to triple knot things just because I feel like it is a lot safer than to right, then you can go ahead and cut your tails a little bit shorter so that they hide nicely in the head of the, under the hat when you put it on the ghost's head. Like so. Just like that. Okay, and then you're going to want to follow the sewing instructions that I gave with the sunflower hat. And then once you sew it on, it will look like this. Nice and flush, not coming off. Beautiful. So the next hat that we are going to work on is the sunflower hat. So for this one, you are going to need a yellow and a brown. I like this, this yellow is Daffodil from Sweet Snuggles Lite. This is the weight of yarn that I've been using for the other ghosts as well. I believe this is color Terracotta in Sweet Snuggles Lite. So first we're going to be starting with Terracotta. Grab your hook, same size hook for the same size yarn. And we're going to start with a magic ring. And you're going to go around 7 single crochets. 7, and pull tightly, not too tight or you'll whip. A lot of people ask me how I pull my magic ring shut without breaking this. I kind of just loosely hold on either side of the last single crochet and just like tug. I don't, because if you hold on to where the yarn is running through the magic ring, there's nowhere for it to slide. It's gonna, you're holding on to what you're trying to pull essentially. So you're going to then do increase 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you're going to go around and do single crochet increase 7 times. So single crochet, increase. If you feel so inclined, please add a stitch marker. To keep track of your rows. Single crochet, increase. Increase, if you haven't caught on, means 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. Next round is going to be 2 rounds of single crochet. So that's going to be 21. You're going to do that twice. If this sounds familiar, it's because it is exactly how we started the pumpkin hat. They are the same base, just different endings. I'm not going to put my stitch marker in because I know where the end of the row is. So just go around 21 twice, so count to 42. So I'm stopping 1 stitch before the last stitch of the row because we are going to have to color change to yellow. So to do that, you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up your loop as if you're going to single crochet, but do not yarn over and do not pull through. So you have these 2 loops on your hook. You're then going to take your yellow yarn, lay it over, and pull through the 2 loops. So you're color changing to this yellow. So from here on out, we're going to be working again in the front loops. And in each front loop, you're going to be doing a cluster of sorts. So you're going to start with, in the first front loop, half double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. So let's start with that. Half double crochet, same stitch, double crochet, double crochet. So there you have your first half of the petal. You're then going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to be working a picot stitch of sorts, which is basically just a slip stitch from a chain. into the very first chain you made. So count backwards from 3, and there's your first. You're going to do a slip stitch, pull through, pull through. Then you're going to go to the next front loop to finish this petal. Yarn over and do a double crochet, sorry. You're basically doing this half backwards, so 2 double crochets and then a half double crochet. Next, you're going to slip stitch into the front loop of the next stitch, and you're going to do the same thing another 7 times. So we'll do it again together, and then you can go ahead and finish the rest of the round with your petals. So you're going to half double crochet in the front loop, double crochet in the front loop, double crochet, chain 3, slip stitch into that first chain, and then into the next stitch, double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and slip stitch into the next front loop. Okay, so you're going to do 7 of those, so come and meet me back at this end when you have finished. And you should end with a slip stitch in that last brown stitch. Perfect. You can cut your yarn. I like to leave a bit of a shorter tail for the yellow because I plan on sewing this on with acrylic yarn. If you want to sew the hat on with the chenille yarn, I would leave a longer brown tail so that you can not have to fold this in to sew it on. Perfect. So next we're going to be working on the Frankenstein ghost. He is probably my favorite. This isn't a hat, this is actually the whole ghost that is worked in one, and I just changed colors for the hat effect. I found that a hat just looked kind of wrong on this guy. It looked better just as one. So let's get started. For this one, you're going to need some green yarn, gray, and black. I'm using Sweet Snuggles Lite again. I believe these colors are from the Chenille Home Slim collection, but it is pretty much the same yarn. And you're going to use your same size hook you've been using for all of these. Okay, so we are first going to start with our magic ring. Go ahead, I'll show again for the magic ring. I wrap around, making sure we cross in the front. Grab that loop, under, over, and chain. You're going to do 6 single crochets. Another tip for magic rings, try not to crochet too tight around them. It'll make closing them a lot harder. 4, 5, 6, and I'm barely touching it here and pulling it through with this one. All right, then you're going to increase 2 single crochet in each stitch, so you will have 12 at the end. Working with black yarn is admittedly harder than any other color because it's hard to see the stitches, so I will do a stitch marker in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to go into your next round of single crochet increase, just like in the previous mods. So single crochet increase. 1, 2. Make sure we have a stitch marker there. Single crochet increase. If black yarn is too hard for you to work with, like it is simply too hard for you to see the stitches, you can do a very dark gray and it will have the same effect. Also, I find that using a headlamp, as funny as that sounds, really does help. I have this little round light here, and I find that if I have this on top, I can see a lot better. My house has literally been like swarming with fruit flies this season. They are horrible, so I'm very sorry if you see any fruit flies. Is that an increase there? Okay. So now we are going to single crochet 18 just for one row. So you're doing a single crochet in each stitch. Making sure that we mark that first one. This yarn is also like not as smooth as the other ones, so I've noticed that different colors do not have the same texture as others. It might just be the dye in the yarn. Alright, okay, so we have done our 18 around. So what we're going to be doing is single crochet 2 and then a color change to a bobble. So you're going to single crochet 1 and then don't finish that second single crochet because you're going to have to pull through the new color for your color change. Remember, the color change is just pulling up that loop, not completing that single crochet with the black yarn, but with the gray yarn. Drape it over, hold it tight. I usually just like kind of hold it tight with my fingers at the back here and pull it through. You can go ahead and like tie these two together if you're finding it hard to work the bobble stitch. I just hold tension on these while I'm doing the bobble stitch. I'll just hold them in place so that they don't come slipping through the hole. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult because we are finishing off the bobble with the black yarn. So at the end of the bobble, you're going to be pulling through with the black yarn, almost like the color change we just did here. So you're going to yarn over, insert into the next stitch, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and you're going to do that 3 times so that you have 4 loops on your hook. One more, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you are going to want this black tail to come up here. You're going to yarn over and pull through all of those. So I like to do the next stitch, I kind of push it backwards so that I can get a really tight stitch there, so I know that it's not going to fall, the tails aren't going to fall through. So there you go, you have your bobble, just push it back forward. And then if you want, you can go ahead and tie these together. I sometimes like to do that to secure the bobble, make sure that the stitches don't come loose. So we are going to do 7 single crochets in between the bobbles. So I just did 1 to finish off that bobble. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, not finishing that 7th single crochet because we're going to color change to gray again. It's up to you if you'd like to cut this yarn or if you'd like to just carry it over. If you're carrying it over for the color change, make sure you leave yourself like a good tail because when you stuff it, you don't want there to be any kind of tugging on the yarn. So you're going to pull through that gray color and you're ready to start your next bobble. So same thing, you want to do 3 of these half double crochets and you're going to end up with 4 loops on your hook. So yarn over, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, same stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, last one, yarn over, pull through 2, and you're going to finish this with the black strand again. So pull through all of them, and then you're going to do a single crochet to close that off. Alright, so there you go. You have your little bolts on the side of his head. You can go ahead and cut that gray yarn. Okay. Get that out of your way. And if you'd like, you can kind of tie this one off with your gray tail as well, just to secure that bauble. Okay. So now we just did 2 single crochet after that bauble. We have another 5 to go because we want 7 total after that last bauble. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we actually we do not want to finish off that last single crochet because we are going to be changing to the color green. So when we want a color change, remember we're going to be going into that last stitch, pulling up your loop, but don't pull through with the same color. You're going to be pulling through with your new color. If I can find the end. Oh, I burst the paper around it. So go ahead and drape over that new color, holding the tension behind, and pull through. And then you can continue to the next row, which is a row of single crochets. So you're going to be doing 18. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I get a couple of good stitches on there, I like to go ahead and tie off my last tails, so the green and the black. Just give it a couple of knots, and I'm going to fasten off, or cut the black, sorry, so I don't have to work with multiple balls of yarn attached to my work. So let's keep going with our single crochet round. And I like changing to the green here because it kind of gives him like the hair vibes, like the little jagged between the color changes look like hair in my opinion. Okay, next we are going to be doing the round with the arms. So this round is the round we just did, this green round, and now we're going to be doing the round with the arms as the bobble stitches. The arms are one bobble stitch bigger, or sorry, 1 half double crochet bigger than the bolts. So you're going to be working with, I believe, 5 loops on your hook instead of the 4, but we will get there. So first you're going to single crochet your 2, 1, 2. This one's easier because you don't have to color change around the baubles. So you're going to yarn over, insert into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, 4, and 5. That 5th one can be a little tough, so just make sure you get through all of them. And you're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. And you're going to make sure that you pop that out. So I just single crocheted a couple after that bobble just so I could get away from it and pop it back out. There you go. So we just did our 2. We have to do 7 in between the arms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, another bobble. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's your 5 loops. Yarn over, pull through, and then you have 7 single crochets to the end of the row. Pop that bobble stitch out. 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now it gets easier. We have 2 rows of just 18 single crochets around, so go ahead and do your 2 rows of 18 single crochet. Now we're going to work on the frill around the bottom of the ghost, this row right here. It's exactly the same as the white ghost. We're going to be working in the front loops only. So again, these are your front loops. When looking at it from the top, you see these two bars on each stitch. This is your front loop. This is your back loop. So you're going to be working in your front loop for this row. We're going to start with a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet all in the same front loop. Your next front loop is going to be a slip stitch. And you're going to you're going to repeat that all the way around. So the next one is a single crochet, all in the front loop, half double crochet, single crochet, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, next stitch, slip stitch. And you're going to continue that all the way around. And your last stitch will be a slip stitch. So here is where you're going to want to put your eyes in. Again, I'm going to be using these oval shaped eyes that I got from AliExpress. I will link them in the description. However, like I said earlier, like I said earlier, I do not trust these eyes on their own. So I use hot glue to fasten them on with the washers. So you're gonna wanna find a position you like them in. I like to do in between rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, between rows 7 and 8. A couple stitches out from the bobbles of the arms, like so. And then you can go ahead and put your washers on. Now the reason we hot glue the backs, or I hot glue the backs, is also due to the fact that these oval eyes rotate if you don't do something to fasten them down to where you want them to lay. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue on the inside here, just so that it doesn't fall through, and so that the oval part stays the way I want it to. I just kind of flood the back of the eyes with glue. To be honest, I don't have a method. Now, if you're impatient with me, if you're impatient like me, you can just go ahead and start stuffing, and the stuffing will attach to the glue, and then you can keep working. So next is going to be worked in these back loops. So remember how we only worked in the front loops for these frills? Now we're going to be working in these back loops. See this kind of ring here? Those are all back loops. So you're going to look for your first back loop. If you were smart, like I was not, you would have marked where your first back loop was when we started. I believe mine is right here. You can always tell if you didn't mark it. You can go through the center of your last stitch here, and you can see like, okay, or sorry, you can go through the center of your first stitch of the last round and see, okay, this is the front loop or the back loop I want to be working in right here. So you're gonna go and you're going to be doing a single crochet and then a decrease across the next 2 stitches. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, next stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. So single crochet, insert for a decrease, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and you're going to repeat that. Your next round is going to be a decrease round. If you would like, you can stop here and stuff. I like to stuff just a little bit here and then kind of stuff as I go with the decrease round. So the next round is your decrease round. You're going to be decreasing across each stitch. So for this, I like to do the invisible decrease, which is working in your front loops. Insert your hook into the first 2 front loops. So these are 2 separate stitches, but I'm going to do front loop, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through both. That will close any gaps you would have by doing a full decrease like this. You could have some larger gaps. By doing the invisible one, it just kind of eliminates that. So you're going to do front loop, pull up a loop, and pull through both. You're going to do that all the way around. Front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. I'm gonna stop here and stuff a little bit more. When I lay him flat on his bottom, I'm just looking to see if he's going to be tilting forwards or backwards, and then I can add more stuffing accordingly. Alright, that should be enough stuffing. And then I just have 1 decrease left. You can then take your yarn, cut the tail, and pull through. Now you're going to be closing the ghost, Franken ghost. So take your needle, thread the yarn through, and you're going to be going, using the front loops again, you're going to be going out to in, and you're going to be going in to out. And you do that all the way around. So I like to do it like this, where I go in and then out in the next one, and then in, and then out. Pulling that nice and snug. I like to run my yarn a couple times across that underneath just to make sure I get a good close. And then I'm going to just insert my my needle into underneath any stitch that I see. I'm just going to use that to tie off. So you're going to then insert your needle through that hole to make a knot, and then you're going to do it again. Now you're going to insert your needle and hide your tail by running the yarn up through the body. And cutting your yarn, hiding that little nub, all your yarn fluff, and there you go. There's your little Franken ghost. Okay, so the next modification we are going to do is the witch's hat. Now, I have not sewn this hat on yet. I just finished it actually, but I have to show you guys how to make it. I have not sewn the witch hat on yet. I would sew it probably like off center like this. This is cute too, but I just like it off center like that. But I'm going to show you guys how to make the witch hat. You're going to need purple black and yellow, or whichever colors you want to work with. These are the colors I'm going to be working with. So you're going to take your 5mm hook and you're going to start with a magic ring like we have been doing with the previous hats. You're going to wrap it around your fingers under and then cross in front, under, over, pull through, twist, and pull up the chain. And you're going to put 4 single crochets in that magic ring. 2, you can let go. I just like to get it started with my fingers still kind of in the magic ring. 4, you can pull your tail. So you're going to do 1 single crochet increase twice. So you have 4 stitches, so you're going to do single crochet increase, single crochet increase. So your first one is a single crochet. And go ahead and mark that if you'd like. The next one is increase. So put 2 in the same stitch. Then you're going to do 1 single crochet and an increase. When you're working with such a small number in a magic ring, it can be difficult to see at first, but just trust the process. I sometimes like to work with it like this and then like flip it the way it's supposed to go. So how I have it right now is actually inside out, but if I just push the magic ring through, now that's right side out. So the next is going to be 2 single crochet increase twice. So you're going to do single crochet, single crochet, increase, that's 1, single crochet, increase, that's 2. Next round we are going to be doing 3 single crochet increase twice. So 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase. Feel free to use your stitch markers to keep track of where you are. I just don't often use stitch markers, so I don't think to do it. Now we're going to be doing 4 single crochet increase twice. So that's going to be, what is this? Twice. So you're going to do 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll find that you're increasing into the increases, which should help you figure out where you are. Increase, more yarn, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. Now before you finish off that second stitch in the increase, you're going to switch to black. So you're going to pull up that loop, don't pull through to finish the single crochet, but instead change to black for this last increase round. So you do that by laying the next color over your hook, kind of giving it some tension, and then pulling through that incomplete single crochet. So now you can work your next round, which is going to be 5 single crochet increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And before you finish off that increase, again, we're going to be switching back to purple. So you're going to just pull up that second loop. Do not yarn over and pull through with black. Instead, you're going to yarn over with purple and pull through. So this is where you might want to make sure that your black is fastened off. Just hide your ends. These are a bit too long for my liking, so I'm just gonna snip them and get them out of our way. You can throw the black away. We're done with that now. Next is going to be, we are going to be working in the front loops of that black row. For this next row, you're going to be doing 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, 3 half double crochets in the second stitch, and then repeat. So you're going 2, 3, 2, 3, all in half double crochets. So to do that, you're going to yarn over, insert into the front loop. Remember from the previous hats that this is our front loop. This is, oops, this is our front loop. This is our back loop. This is our front loop. This is our back loop. Front loop, back loop. So you can mark it with a stitch marker if you'd like, but you're going to be doing 2 half double crochets into that first front loop. So yarn over, insert your hook into the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. You're going to do that again, same stitch, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. You're going to do that 3 times in the next stitch. In the front loop, 1, 2, 3. You're going to repeat that all the way around. If you want your witch's hat to be less wavy, you can do just the increase all around, so 2 in each stitch. If you want it to be more wavy, you could do 3 in each stitch. For example, the pumpkin hat here has 3 in each stitch, so it is very, very wavy. Whereas this one is just 2, then 3. So we just finished with our 3, so now we have to do 2. 1, 2. You should be ending with 3 half double crochets in that last stitch. If you didn't, and you maybe did 2 in a row instead of 2, 3 alternating, not the end of the world. You probably won't be able to tell. Next, you're going to do a slip stitch into that first half double crochet you did just to fasten off this row. Cut your tail and pull that through. You can then go and hide that purple into the hat. Like I said, I like to attach the hats using an acrylic yarn so that this yarn doesn't fray. So I kind of just, to hide it, I kind of just weave it in through the stitches. Until we get underneath the part that is going to be sewed onto the head, so it doesn't really matter if there's a tail. So just kind of like that. And then we're going to be sewing on this part, so you won't really see the tail anymore. Just cut it and hide it. And there you go. There's your witch hat. Now, if you want, I can show you how to do the belt buckle, or the buckle, I guess you'd call it, for the hat. You're just going to take a little bit of yellow, put it onto your needle, and then I'm going to go from the inside of this. You want the joining to be at the back because it's obviously not the cutest, but just put the better part forward. Go from the inside, and you're going to want to poke up above the black row. You're going to go over to the next stitch. This just happens to be the increase where I drew this up, so I'm just going to go over the increase. First, I want to pull this through a little bit more. Over the increase. And then I'm going to go pull it, push it up at the bottom of the black row. And then I can go up, down, pulling gently, not too hard. And then you can push it up there. It's just really embroidering, and then insert it below that black line. And then above where you put the other strand, and back this way. So you're basically just trying to make a box with your yellow yarn. And then when you're done that, you can go ahead and tie it off. I usually do 2 or 3. You're gonna hide your tails inside the hat. And there you go. Your little witch hat. I would sew him on sideways like this, but I've seen people do it like this and it's also super cute. And just make it your own. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you guys how to sew on the head, how I like to do it. There's many different ways you can do it, but this is just how I like. So especially with the sunflower hat. So in the hats you have this unworked back loop row right here. All of these are your unworked back loops. And those are what I use to sew the head, the hat onto the head of the ghost. So I'm just going to place it on my ghost however I would like. I think that I like that. And then I'm going to take a little knitting needle and just kind of stick it down the middle. And this way I know that it's not moving anywhere and I can just sew on like this. I'm going to take it from the back here. Normally what you would do is leave the brown tail long instead of the yellow tail long so that you could more easily sew on instead of having to kind of like, now that I'm using the yellow tail, I have to weave in a little bit to get to the front loops here. Oh, I just went back to the same one. So now I'm ready to work into my back loops of this hat. The brown, using the brown yarn would have saved you from having to just weave in that little bit. So I'm just gonna go across here. I'm gonna pull up through this loop, this brown one. And again, up through the back loop. Some people prefer to use acrylic yarn when sewing with chenille because it can get very sheddy very fast, and I agree, but I just didn't think about it in time. Also, using a bent needle would probably be a better idea for this because you don't have to move as much to get up into those back loops. So we're pretty much doing this all the way around. One on the head, one through the loops. One on the head, one through the loops. All the way around. Oops. So this is why you might want to change to acrylic yarn, because it starts to fray. Okay, and then once you get back around to the beginning, what I like to do is just go through the body, pull up a loop. My yarn is holding on for dear life. Pull through. And I just like to do a couple of those, just like that. Oh dear. I don't know if my yarn's gonna make it. Yay, we made it. Okay, and then you're going to, what I like to do is kind of just take my scissors and very gently poke it through the stitch just to hide the tail. We do not want to split any stitches with our scissors, people. right, and there you have it after you dust it off. A little sunflower hat. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you guys how to sew on the head, how I like to do it. There's many different ways you can do it, but this is just how I like. So especially with the sunflower hat, so in the hats you have this unworked back loop row right here. All of these are your unworked back loops. And those are what I use to sew the head, the hat onto the head of the ghost. So I'm just going to place it on my ghost however I would like. I think that I like that. And then I'm going to take a little knitting needle and just kind of stick it down the middle. And this way I know that it's not moving anywhere and I can just sew on like this. I'm going to take it from the back here. So normally what you would do is you would leave your brown tail so that you could, you know, crochet. Normally what you would do is leave the brown tail long instead of the yellow tail long so that you could more easily sew on instead of having to kind of like, now that I'm using the yellow tail, I have to weave in a little bit to get to the front loops here. Oh, I just went back to the same one. So now I'm ready to work into my back loops of this hat. The brown, using the brown yarn would have saved you from having to just weave in that little bit. So I'm just gonna go across here. I'm gonna pull up through this loop, this brown one. And again, up through the back loop. Some people prefer to use acrylic yarn when sewing with chenille because it can get very sheddy very fast, and I agree, but I just didn't think about it in the time. Also, using a bent needle would probably be a better idea for this because you don't have to move as much to get up into those back loops. So we're pretty much doing this all the way around. One on the head, one through the loops. One on the head, one through the loops. All the way around. Oops. So this is why you might want to change to acrylic yarn, because it starts to fray. I am not the best sewer, so do not judge me. Okay, and then once you get back around to the beginning, what I like to do is just go through the body, pull up a loop. My yarn is holding on for dear life. Pull through. I just like to do a couple of those, just like that. Oh dear. I don't know if my yarn's gonna make it. Yay, we made it. Okay, and then you're going to, what I like to do is kind of just take my scissors and very gently poke it through the stitch just to hide the tail. We do not want to split any stitches with our scissors, people. Alright, and there you have it after you dust it off. A little sunflower hat. If you have made it to the end of this video, congratulations. That was a long one. I am so proud of you for trying something new and for getting the hang of crochet. It's not easy. I would love it if you guys would share your finished products with me, post it on Instagram, post it on Twitter, post it on Facebook, post it on TikTok, wherever, and then tag me with the at crochetwbay, and I will give you guys all the love possible. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!